Hey Earthquakes fans, welcome back to Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown. We're going to take a look back at three games that were played pretty quickly over the course of 7 days. Danger, let's first look back to the Man United game. Was that a worthwhile endeavor to you, and who stood out from that game in particular?
Yeah, I think it was a worthwhile endeavour, and I think the reason more so is because it gave Michael Starry an opportunity to look at some other players and rotate the squad. And we'll talk about some of those players in a second. I personally would have preferred the game to be in here at Avaya Stadium, because I think having 18,000 people, jammed into a stadium versus some empty seats would have been a much more enjoyable game to watch. Mm-hmm. But we talk about Manchester United coming in pre-season, a lot of stars missing, but in actual fact, there was a lot of players and stars playing. Valencia, Darmian, Smalling, Eric Bailly, Luke Shaw, Martial, Alexis Sanchez, Herrera.
Yeah.
I mean,
no small names.
Yeah, there's a few there you wouldn't mind out there at Avaya Stadium. But going back to the Quakes, first chance to see the partnership of Cashier and Cummings, which is becoming very important, I think, to Michael Starry and the team going forward, and hopefully into next season as well. They look good, and they are becoming the reliable partnership at the back. First chance to see Luis Felipe. And now he has played 3 in a row and seems to be more comfortable with every game, and we'll talk about that in a little while as well. And some of the players got some time, and I think they then became part of the equation as Starry rotated the squad for the RSL and Seattle games. Yeah. And their performances that night, Quincy, Tommy, gave Starry the confidence to start them in the RSL game. Obviously, great shout out to the youngsters, Jacob and Gilbert, for getting on the field. Not bad to make your debut against Man United, right? I wish I'd have done that. And JT and Matt as well for getting a shutout against a little bit fortunate early in the game when everybody's header went off the crossbar. But other than that, I thought the team defended well, defended deep, didn't do much offensively. Got a few shots off, but it was a decent game.
Yeah, and I agree with you there in that, building the confidence, because they did have to defend a lot versus Man United. And as you mentioned, JT and Matt had earned the shutout, which is credit. And to me, it just seems like that confidence, albeit, maybe just one step forward, that confidence certainly propelled them towards the Seattle and RSL game. I thought Andrew Tarbell had a fantastic save versus RSL, earning the shutout, first shutout of the year for the Earthquakes. So defensively, there certainly seems to be things that are solidifying more. Yes, they gave up the goal to Seattle against Rui Diaz, but that goal was really off of one mistake, which has been the story for the Earthquakes, right? Playing decently well for stretches, and then one turnover, one silly giveaway in midfield that leads to a fantastic Rui Diaz goal, who is known to take advantage of the opportunities he's given and put it in the back of the net. So credit goes to Tarbell for that save against RSL, and credit goes to the defense for continuing to find ways to prove, albeit still needing to continue to improve as we progress throughout the season. So let's dive a little deeper into the 2 MLS regular season games over the last week. We've got Seattle, which was a midweek game, and also RSL. What stood out to you most from Seattle, first of all?
Tactically, Starry went out and matched up against Seattle with the lineup that he has been using most of the season. That's a 4-4-2. And then obviously against RSL he treated a little bit with a 4-2-3-1, and that shows the flexibility the coach has in his style of picking the formation, but also with the rotation of the players a little bit as well. But against Seattle, for me, it was a game that Seattle were looking to come in and I think be happy getting a point. Maybe after watching the team the Earthquakes played this season, looking for that one mistake to capitalize on, and that's exactly what happened. And Rui Diaz, a nice finish. The bits of the game I liked, once again, the partnership at the back, those two, Cummings and Cashier, solid. Luis Felipe, growing as a player, sitting in there in the midfield, did a good job defensively, looking to pass forward, looks comfortable on the ball. And once again, the type of attacking width that Shea Salinas and Lima give the team, I thought over those 2 games against RSL and also against Seattle, Lima and especially Shea on the left got a lot of the ball and effective for the most part. the final ball still needs to be better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in the game against Seattle, there was a lot of attack up the width, but I'm thinking back especially to that second half, service after service went straight to Stephen Fry. And he easily came away with those balls. And that's something you have to learn and do better. Great, we serve it once, twice. He's easily coming out. We can figure out that range. And then you have to adapt. Drive it on the ground, play it back to the top of the 18. Those things need to develop. I did think it got better against RSL. I can think to Nick Lima and the quality of service he had a couple, especially that opportunity by Quincy Ameriquam.
Yeah.
I remember Shea continuing to make a difference on the left flank as well. So I thought that progressed from Seattle to RSL, but you're right, the final ball in the final third isn't quite there. Defensively, it certainly seems like things have been shored up, but the goal scoring and the production on offense just isn't there right now. So we've already alluded to the RSL game, but let's dig into that just a little bit more tactically. Thoughts?
4-2-3-1, which matched up against RSL. And that's important because so many times we've seen teams come into via, or we've played on the road against a 4-2-3-1 with a 4-4-2, and there's been that sort of 2 against 3 in the midfield, us and them. And so I think it's important that you match up in those areas, especially when you've got powerful midfielders like a Beckerman, etc. in that area. They will hurt you if you allow them time and space. So I think Michael Starry saw that as an opportunity to match up in those spaces. And also it gave the opportunity to play Vako in a completely free role in the middle of the field, which is his favorite role. You know, for me, he's a player that has the ability to play that role very well. He's strong on the ball. He's powerful when he gets it, makes the ability to go at players. We've talked also about, for me, his decision making. Sometimes he needs to be a little less selfish when he's on the ball, but it allowed him to have a free role. Once again, the partnership at the back was good. Luis Felipe, you know, he then stepped in alongside Anibal Godoy, who's, you know, a World Cup player. Once again, Felipe looks comfortable. And he also allowed, in my eyes, he allowed Anibal Godoy a lot more freedom to get involved with the attack. And that, I think, allowed him, being Godoy, to have one of his better games this year for the Quakes.
Yeah, and again, you know, connecting the RSL game to the Man United game, there was a lot of changes for Michael Starry in that lineup. No Danny Houston to start, no Chris Wondolowski to start, no Flo Youngworth to start. So that opportunity for younger players, different faces to join in to the starting lineup for RSL and really make a difference, I think is a credit to maybe the expansion a little bit of the depth of the bench and resting players during a time of the season that can be a real challenge when games are coming fast and furious. So let's look forward to Dallas. Dallas is always a tough place to play, but a tough place especially in the heat of summer in August. What are your thoughts as the Quakes head down to Texas next week?
Going into Dallas against a team that's just come off a good win against Sporting Kansas City in Kansas City, 3 goals by Michael Barrios. What catches my eye with this team is that they have got a lot of speed, and I love speed in the team. And if you look at the highlights of that game, Barrios scored 2 goals by just being quicker than Iko Para, bottom line, and scored getting on the end of those plays. It's an interesting, it's been an interesting 12 months in Dallas because they've actually traded or lost 3 star players. Kellen Acosta went to Colorado, Mauro Diaz left the club, and Fabian Castillo went to Turkey last season, but you know, within that 12 months. So those are 3 really, really good players, and yet they still sit on top of the Western Division. So a lot of credit has to go to their scouting system, their depth, their academy especially, because they have so many homegrown players, including Acosta. They've got guys like Weston McKinney who came through their academy, who's playing in Germany at the moment. And so it's a club that I've always thought is almost like that blue plate, that's not the right word, blue plate, blueprint, as far as blue plates, the restaurant in San Francisco, Corey's place. You know, that's really what all clubs should be looking at. A successful academy, good scouting system, bringing exciting players from various parts of the world, and win games.
Yeah.
Oh, and speed.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of speed in Dallas is going to be important for the Earthquakes to stay compact defensively, especially if it's a hot day. But another opportunity for 3 points on the road potentially, which is something that you're always looking for when you're trying to find a way to climb up the table. So thanks for staying with us for another edition of Danger and
Do it again.
Thanks for staying with us for another edition of Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown.